project.
I'm okay.
I'd like to call to order a work session of the City of Trinidad Tourism Board, Wednesday, September the 14th, 9 o'clock. You don't have to take one, roll number. Work session, marketing proposal, Steve Morton.
Thanks, board, right off the bat. Thank you.
Right off.
Well, what I'd like to see is if you all would want to continue on a route that I've kind of looked into here for it. I'll get you all little information, but that is, to get us on board. Well, to start with. But I could hear Cy emphatically wanting to be number one all the way at my house from the last meeting. And I don't disagree with her. And, and it's just, we have to make that happen. Just existing and being great doesn't always get you the votes. So as we see in political seasons, yes, you got to work for them. What I want to talk about is a very large and comprehensive marketing program for you guys to take a look at, see if you want to pursue it. One thing I'd like to ask, are you guys still looking for a marketing person?
Yes, it's on their agenda today, so they'll have
Okay.
review an RFP. But
Very
if your campaign fits that, then
Well,
encourage you to respond to the RFP.
okay.
And if this presentation is probably what you're going to move forward with for that RFP, then I would suggest presenting it to the board, and then they can review it at a later date.
Sure.
And as part of that proposal. So
sounds good.
the actual proposal, the RFP responses, will not open until a later date, so I would suggest withholding your information until the RFP is officially announced. In fairness and legalities, it should be withheld until, if you're going to respond to that RFP with this proposal, then that's the correct process.
Proposal will be part of it. I guess what I'm trying to see is you guys are interested in something going this direction. So I don't waste both our time with the RFP. If you've got something else completely in mind, because this would be part of it, but certainly not all of it. We came in as the marketing group, which I would seriously suggest, because it's not economical to spend money for a person to do what we're doing, and vice versa. If we're going to come in and do it, because part of doing the whole marketing plan would be also to get in there and work with the website, the calendars, all those types of things, as well as helping any way we could, but also helping to research where dollars should be going for different projects, things of that nature. Because all too often what people do with their budgets a lot of times is they're putting it out in different places, but it's not a cohesive effort that works together, which is very inefficient in the marketing world. So what we're looking at here, just a very quick overview, is and don't be dissuaded by the fact that we do represent our 4-county region. The reason for that is to have more activities and things to get people for a destination to be able to stay and have activities for a full week or more. Because a lot of times each individual town may not have enough to hold them for more than a day on certain things. So whether it be fishing or antique shopping, that's one of the reasons we took the regional approach. Now, if you read the magazine very often, you'll see that Trinidad still dominates what our activities, our schedule. When you look on the calendar, you know, and it's just because we simply have more things going on. So don't feel like, well, we can't support that, because it's not just Trinidad. You know, we need to work together with our other communities to make our region more appealing and get people here. Now, one of the things, just very quickly, you'll have this to look at team members, because you're not just hiring me if you're hiring for the position. It's actually the New Legends Productions, and we've assembled some great people. A lot of them work on the magazine with us. They're not all local, which is actually a good thing, because I like a lot of my younger people are in bigger markets, which makes them have to be more cutting edge, more competitive in those markets. And all the people on the list have some impressive resumes of the specific area they work in. Because to me, that's, anybody comes in, one person's going to say, man, I can do everything. Yeah, not really. They can't. Because nowadays, there's so much going on in the world of media and marketing that you need to find people who are specialists in specific areas. And that way, you're going to get the best in that specific area. I've been doing this for 40 years, had to transcend to the digital and internet and everything like that. I'm glad I did. But I also recognize for a lot of, especially like social media, SEO, I don't know if you're not familiar with that term, it's called search engine optimization. And what that is when we're out there putting stuff out, okay, we're among millions and millions of people that are putting things out there. So search engine optimization means these folks know how to key the proper words and a whole lot of different things. So when someone searches mountain biking, hiking, historical, Old West Town, anything of that nature, we come up as quickly as we can. Okay, ideally you want to come up first, but you definitely want to come up on page 1. And if you come up past page 2, you're not going to see too much. Most people don't go that far when they're searching. And search engine optimization means you can't say that and then put Trinidad, Colorado, and think that's good SEO. Because when people don't know about us, they're not going to put in Trinidad, Colorado. And definitely, if you don't put Colorado, you're not going to get us for several pages, because you're going to get the islands, and you're going to get California, other places. So it's really important. So the folks that do that are they're fairly expensive if they're any good, but it's a huge talent thing. And when social media developed, the SEO folks understanding the way they handle SEO, a lot of that comes into play, those skills, into having a more effective social media as well. Okay, so that's an example of some of the different specialists that are going to be on the team. And then project that we didn't get to see that last meeting because we didn't have a quorum was just kind of a little budget here for something that these two things work together. And this is in the realm of video production, okay? Because I think everyone realizes people would rather watch the movie than read the book. So you want to have videos that tell the message, and people will sit, and you want to make them entertaining, not just like they're sitting in a history class lecture or it's just a lot of narrative. You'd have a visual, and the way this all works together is we really start with The TV miniseries, we'll just call it that, as good a name as any, but it's bringing these history stories and legends to life in little docudramas. And what I mean by docudrama is that we actually do put people in costumes, and we have the props and everything fit the period piece. But the financial advantage of docudrama over just doing a movie is you don't have to pay a huge amount for the actors, okay? Because the people are acting out. I'm sure you guys have all seen docudramas where it is narration, but the people are acting out what the narrator is talking to. So they may occasionally have a line, you know, like "Get out of town, bad Bart," but you know, but it's not dependent on their acting ability. But that way, you see that a lot on the History Channel and several others. In fact, I was watching something last night, and it had a really good one on PBS. Now, what happens when we get all the film for these, then we have this library of well done, you know, with costuming and all that type of stuff, and well filmed pieces of information. So then when we do the tours, the online tours, now we can inject some of this historical looking, so they're little mini docudramas, if you would, but we don't have to recreate that again. So it's important that that's the order we go in. First we start filming the actual movies, and then we have all that information to fall back on to start doing the tours. And the tours just need to be about different specific interest areas, okay? Because to just put out a general thing all the time won't grab people's attention. So if we're doing a tour on where to go fishing, that's what it needs to be about.
Have you approached the History Colorado about this? Because I feel like these little docudramas aren't really within our purview of what we're doing for tourism, but it does sound like something like the Department of History may be more inclined to keep for what their mission.
Well, that's a good point, but I'll point out to you why it is what tourism is about. It follows the same formula of success that the magazine has had, okay? Because when I came out with the magazine in 2016, it's a visitor's guide. I always call it a well-disguised visitor's guide, because it doesn't look like most visitor's guides. But I decided if we're going to be out there, if we look just like Santa Fe, Taos, you know, Telluride, all these different places, and we have the same kind of pictures, which is great. I'm glad they have the people on skis or people in boat fishing, but we just look just like them. Okay, we'd just be another one, and we'd be the new kid on the block without an audience yet. So I took the history angle, and one of the reasons is we do have, and I agree with Si, we should be the #1 historical Old West town. But we've never had good PR since the 1800s.
Yeah, but we don't have historical assets. I mean, we have a lot of great history, I agree, but that doesn't put heads in beds, and it doesn't necessarily contribute to our
well, it has been
economy.
with the magazine.
You know, and so, I mean, I just feel like, you know, right now the city of Trinidad and I think the city council's focus is really on outdoor recreation.
Right.
You know, and I agree there's lots of outdoor recreation around Colorado, and Trinidad needs to differentiate itself. There's no doubt about that. But unless, you know, our history museum has opening hours that are conducive to lots of people coming instead of just seasonally or whatever, unless you have other assets around that history that are accessible or that are, you know, up and running, but those don't generate tax revenue. You know, those are all free. And so...
But the idea of tourism is to bring people here. Mm-hmm. And as you said, okay, and which is true, as you go up and down the highway, the mountain areas, okay, they all have these things to offer. outdoor activities.
They also all have history. There's rich history all through the
Well,
state.
they don't necessarily take advantage of that.
But that's not necessarily true. I've spent lots and lots of time in lots and lots of towns all over this state, and many of them are very, very aware of their history and have very good assets around history. I mean, I was a history teacher for 15 years, so this is like my thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And very, very well developed assets, and they market them.
And so what I found, the success of the magazine for tourism, because I'll show you, before we started doing this magazine, tourism was not, other than marijuana, was not on the upward. As a matter of fact, before marijuana, it was kept going down, down. Okay, after marijuana, they had a bump first 2 years. I talked about this to the marijuana people about it because I want to see what kind of effect we were having, because 2017, the next year that we've been out, we had a 17% spike in tourism. Okay, and so
I think that's due to COVID. I think more people are wanting to get out, you know.
this is 2017,
Oh, okay.
pre-COVID. Now I agree with you with that. You know, I don't disagree with any of that. We should take advantage of all that, people that are
Well, that's
wanting to
what
get out and do
that's
stuff.
what I see now is more people are out in the last 3 years.
Right.
Well,
than-
But back to the history angle is, okay, you can go to any of the lakes, any of the outdoor trails, any of that stuff, but when they're reading about the history that happened, okay, now we bring it to the new legends, we bring it forward to where you can come, you can ride those same trails on your bike instead of your horse, okay, and that type of thing, which has proven to be very successful. Highway 12, for example, when I first started this, they basically shut down about now, which was ridiculous because the changing of the leaves, all the beautiful stuff that people drive up to Aspen and places like that for, we have it all right there on Highway 12. And I mentioned to them then, I said, as we get this out to people and they see, let them know it's here, you know, you're not going to have to shut down right after Labor Day. I mean, there's no reason you should. And now they're busy all the way, at least through December. January, February gets a little slower for them, but those changes. Well, okay, nobody else was reaching the people we reach. That wasn't happening before. So the technique that I'm taking, and I commend you being a teacher. I love my wife's a teacher. I love history. And that's based on, I had one great history teacher finally in school that made me understand how interesting history actually is. It's not just a bunch of numbers to remember for a test. And so that's the approach that we're taking with this. That's where the films come into play for tourism. Okay, when you check with towns that have filming going on, always a boom in their tourism. And
can you bring us some data on that?
Sure, I can look all that up and get you some data on it. But that's the kind of stuff that by showing it, because that's what the films will be doing. The films will be showing some historical perspective, but also bringing it to present time. You know, for example, it can be, the old grandpa, sitting telling the kids, boy, they're sitting in one of our modern businesses, for example, and I say, well, and then it transcends to the old story, and then kind of comes back. But the people get the idea, okay, this building was part of all that history. That's pretty cool. Okay, now you have a bit more reason, because all the places that we're competing with for tourism, they all have restaurants. I mean, they all have gift shops. They all have art. All right, well, let's give something that brings them more interest and brings them to us. And that's what these are about. And that's why the tours will be both modern, what's happening now, but then also using the footage we already have from the films, we'll be able to flash back a little bit. And so the tours are not going to cost us what they should cost us to be that interesting and that well filmed, because we're already absorbing the cost through the movie part.
Have you ever brought this project to the Back on Bloom museums?
To the museums?
Yeah, because this is, you know, this is what you're talking about, history there.
That's why I think that our Department of History is better,
Yeah.
or History Colorado.
I don't know that without the three of us discussing it, what I see more is that we have videos, we have, you know, we produce TV spots and everything else. You know, what he's talking about, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is something that's entertaining for people to watch.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, especially people that are interested in history, and it makes them, you know, because you've got to use so many different things to reach out as far as you can. I mean, with some medium, you know, one medium will hit somebody, say, oh, Trinidad, I'll go. They heard it. May take two to get the next, you know, 2 or 3 people. May take more. But if we use video, and if we've got a way to get it out, you know, one of the problems we have is not having, you know, local television,
right.
Network television and stuff to do TV spots. But if we can find an area where people are going to go and watch, and you know, they pull up, you know, they get Trinidad, Colorado, and they see, you know, because I've seen these you know, mini docudramas, and they are more entertaining than just watching somebody that's talking about, you know,
an area. This
is the area, and you know what we're doing. So it's
well, that's why I bring up the Back on Bloom. You know, there's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
To start with.
And the History Museum has a really, I mean, the History Colorado, they're excellent at producing these types of things. Like, that's what they do. If you go to the Colorado History Museum, they have these videos and these docudramas that are fantastic that they produce. And they're really, really good and engaging, and they're short, and, you know, they have it very dialed in. And so I think, you know, that is the place. And then also where to use them. You know, to just have them on some random web TV station doesn't necessarily make sense, but if they're embedded in the town, in places where people go, but we don't have that yet. We don't have, you know, videos at the Dad Lounge that shows that upstairs was a brothel for a long time and whatever, or, you know, the tunnels and where Al Capone hid his booze, or whatever those things are. We don't really have those stations and that kind of
we don't have it yet.
Infrastructure.
And that's part of the project. Is I couldn't agree with you more, because basically I have a little formula here because we have these, and one of our little slogans: "Discover the hidden treasures of the Sangre de Cristo" is our region. Okay, but a little 3 P's for prosperity, and one of them's not pot, but it's first we find the treasures and we polish it. Okay, there's a lot of great things, but it never gets that professional polish to it, like we're talking about. Okay, you polish up those treasures. Next, you package up those treasures, so you make it where you're not just saying, here it is, okay, and here's the tours. Here's how you can now do this, okay, and put together packages for specific areas. And the last one is promotion, is to promote it. What we tend to do too often is we throw money in promotion, but we haven't done the infrastructure of the polishing and packaging. And that's just what you're speaking to, that, hey, it's cool to have this stuff, but we don't have that in place. And so initially, you know, and it may take the first year or two to get the infrastructure part put together, and how we reach people. And I couldn't agree with you more about it's pointless to do these things and they just sit on the website here or something of that nature. Because the big thing with tourism that we don't do nearly as good a job as we should is reaching outside. I mean, I love, we need to put them together. We need to have the things that are happening, like you said, at Dad Lounge or any different businesses. Have it for the hotels to show off. Have it for, I know that's one of the reasons, if you guys are familiar with Keller Williams, when they put in all those screens, that's why they want all the screens, is to be running interesting things about the town on all the different screens. Well,
Steve, I have a question for
sure.
you. So you have a total cost here of $382,600.
Plus an additional one on the other page.
Well, exactly, and then the
Yeah.
second page is $72,000. So how are you breaking this down so that each region is carrying their share of the load? I mean, this is the Sangre de Cristo region, and Raton, and Cimarron, and Eagle's Nest, and Levita, and Cachara, and
Right.
Walsenburg, and how are you
Oh,
splitting up that
I don't
cost?
disagree. I always look at us, maybe it's because I live here in Trinidad, but I look at us, and I think most of the time we are the leader, okay, to get things started.
I know, but
And
we
oh,
are,
well, the thing is, it's like addressing each one of these, all these places, which I have, you know.
Have you come up with a formula as to how you would break it down to all these counties?
I don't think there's a set formula. I mean, because are we going to say, hey, Levita's not kicking in, so we're not doing it. We're scrapping the whole project. We're going to, you know, literally.
Well, that would be up to you to put all these.
We
together,
definitely.
You know,
We're going to get together,
but
yeah,
you know, not expecting us to foot the bill for everybody.
well,
you
one
know,
of the things they're going to see is they're going to see that these things that are coming out, the Trinidad's paying for are Trinidad. They're not going to be about them on your guys' dime, which will be a good.
So then you don't have this broken down very well, because you're saying this is the entire region, but this is the cost. But now you're telling us that no, this is about Trinidad, so now I'm confused. So what's the portion for Trinidad? Do you have that broken down? Is it this 380?
Oh, I'm going to say that whole thing is basically is Trinidad.
And then you're going to go to
projects.
You're going to go to Levita with the same proposal with, you know, a $200,000 one, and you're going to go to Cimarron with the same proposal with a $100,000 one. Is that your plan? Is that the deal?
Because they're going to want to do it when they see Trinidad's, when they see us doing those things. Okay, that's going to motivate them. If I go in cold with it and they don't see what we're talking about, and they don't see someone doing it being successful, very tough sale.
So I'm going to
Okay.
suggest that you submit the RFP and, you know, propose it officially, and then our whole board will have a chance to look at it
Sure.
and take a look, and then, you know, go from there.
Okay, but to get back to the funding, I don't expect it to come out of just tourism budget. You know, maybe partial, some of it needs to. I think we're doing the marketing, things like our SEO, social media, that type of stuff. That's, I have no idea what you guys are offering to pay for that position. Do you guys have a set amount?
we do not.
Okay, so.
It hasn't been established yet. We're in the initial stages of producing
Okay.
the RFP itself, so
Okay, well, the
those are the
RFP,
details that need to be worked out, yes.
Okay, but that's why, you know, let's use that money towards this effort, not having, because if we're on board, you don't need somebody else to be helping out. But if you spend that money, I don't know, you know, 30, 40, I don't know what you guys are going to have it, but it's much better spent as part of the whole project, because as I said, you're not getting just me, you're not getting one person who's trying to do everything. You're getting a team that's a very top-notch team. I'll put our team up against anybody, and that includes Denver, Springs, doesn't matter. I mean, my background, I used to handle huge corporate accounts. Pretty savvy at this stuff, and I'm really good at it. And this kind of stuff, but the people that work with me are people I have found, and they're great at what they do. For example, the 12 Legs people that are SEO, social media, they're up in the Springs. They're constantly getting awards. They're probably the top people in Alice Springs.
That's a real healthy sum. If, say, we were on board with the idea and everything else, but you know, we look at our budget and whatever, and say, and I'm just throwing something out so you get an idea. Say we could only offer $30,000.
Right.
Where are you going to get the rest of that?
Because the grants are out there, and that's where you're talking about getting with these different organizations. The difference with the different organizations, though, they don't have, I'll say, the commercial side. They just don't. Okay, they're about promoting museums, they're about promoting certain things, but they're not about what we're about as tourism, which is to eventually put heads in beds and also put people in stores and restaurants and things like that. So we'd be the better organization because of the mission. Now,
Yeah,
grants,
we don't have that kind of a budget for this.
I understand.
Okay.
I'll finish. The grants are out there to go get, but most of them need to come through a civic organization like tourism. Okay, I can't go get it as a private, no matter how great the plan to help the town. They don't put the grants out. Most all of them won't go out to individual businesses. So by working together, we can go get the grants and get them funneled in. We unfortunately came up kind of late on that last one, and then you guys didn't have a quorum, and the grant writer for the city didn't want to pursue it for some reason, but we missed $500,000. Okay, I don't think you guys ended up doing anything on that magic.
This wouldn't have qualified for that grant either.
It would have.
No, it would not.
Okay, Jeannie has written grants for many years. Back when she was in the art commission for the city of Santa Fe.
I'm not going to argue with those, Steve.
Well,
So what's done is done.
Okay, I'm just saying, those grants are there. This certainly would have fallen under the purview.
So we've been here for half an hour. Can we move on now, I think?
Okay.
Thank you.
But that's mostly what I want to see. If you guys, when that comes out, I'll put in for it. But but just be very candid. If this isn't your thing, you got some other direction you want to go, then I won't waste your time and waste my time. But it's something that's a cohesive and a big program, and it's a lot to take in. But pushing it off to other organizations, if that's the direction you're going, and I can take a look at it, then just let me know that. Because one thing we didn't cover was our virtual tourism, which is really important with the price of gasoline. If you talk to me in businesses, but I'm hearing that a lot, that gasoline is affecting.
Thank you for your effort on this, and obviously we will discuss it more later with our other two members.
So with the virtual tourism, though, part of the program is creating a online mercantile, if you will, that we help the businesses market. So when they see things in the videos, we promote, go to the online mercantile to buy these things, so that we're not dependent on people having to come here all the time to keep generating dollars for the community. All right, guys, thank you all.
Thank you. Items of discussion: letter of support for the Santa Fe Trail Scenic and Historic Byway for the Colorado Tourism Reimagine Industry Association Program.
In your package, you'll find a letter of support that I drew up for your review and approval for the Santa Fe Trail State Scenic and Historic Byway. I am a representative on that board for the City of Trinidad and Los Animas County. And what they're doing basically is applying for a grant. There's no monetary, they will not receive any monetary funds or anything. What they receive is 70 hours of mentorship. And what we're looking at is putting together a comprehensive sign inventory along the byway. So you'll see those Santa Fe Trail byway signs along from here all the way to Holly on the Oklahoma border. And some of them have been taken down. People like to take them as little souvenirs, and so we're trying to get out there and make sure that we have the right signage and it's where it's supposed to be. We're also working towards certification of an electric byway. So making sure that so many of our cities along that byway are certified and have services for electric vehicles.
There's a lot of new money for that. I just saw another pot of money yesterday publicized, like another $71 million for Colorado alone.
Yeah, so we're working towards that. And then we're developing an individual byway webpage for the Canyons and Plains region on their website. So they are asking for a letter of support as they apply for this grant.
Yes. Do we need to approve it?
We don't. I just need Tom to sign it if you are okay with the letter.
Yeah, the letter looks good.
Okay, thank you.
What's our next item?
Cosvic ad?
Colorado Official State Vacation Guide. Sorry, I forget, everybody doesn't know all those little acronyms. So you approved a full-page ad in the Colorado's Official State Vacation Guide. This is something you've been doing for I don't know how many years, but at least the last 5 that I know of. This is the last ad that ran last year. They produced 2 that are basically the same. One is a summer vacation guide, one's a winter vacation guide. But the same advertisers usually, they don't change their ads for summer and winter. And CTO does not change the ads for summer and winter. It's the same thing, they just basically put summer at the top of one and winter at the top of another. This is the ad that ran last year, and since you've approved it and you wanted approval of any ads, I wanted to know if you, and this has to be in by September 21st. So we have like a week and a half to develop something if you want something different.
Have you been working, Erica, when she was in here, Gonzalez, who's doing the webpage, also has some, I mean, she's an artist, she has some design.
We don't pay her to design though,
I
we
know.
only pay her for the website.
I'm wondering if maybe you could find a little bit, I mean, it's not very much that she's doing anyway, like 10 hours a month, right, or something?
Yeah, it's only 10 hours a month, but it's $70 an hour.
Yeah, but I wonder if she could work with you a little bit on,
Just give me some direction. Just,
Yeah,
what
or-
do you want to see? And if I don't know what you want to see, then I can't work on anything with anybody.
Well, I don't think any of us are artists,
No.
and so, I mean, I think that's where having somebody, a design eye, would be beneficial.
The design eye is
How about-
perfect, but what do you want to push out? What do you
How
want?
about some of the banners we did?
The street banners?
Yeah,
There's 18 of those.
yeah. How about something off of them?
But I don't think those, I don't know if those are appropriate for something like this necessarily.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
More of
they don't say much.
Well, this was representing outdoor recreation, which is at the time when we put this out, that was the direction you were leaning toward for advertising.
When does this next piece come out?
This will come out in December.
it's the
So,
deadline.
Trying to tease people for the spring. I think similar pictures.
Do
That's
we-
not
do we wanna do
That's not
outdoor?
the best look,
Yeah.
but it's not bad either.
I think if we could swap like the hiker for somebody walking through town, or somebody in town, like a really nice image in front of the Columbia or on Commercial Street or something where there's liveliness in town, or one of our festivals, and a photograph of one of those might be nice.
So what would be your message?
How
What-
about the horse, the new horse with the welcome center behind it?
But that's not outdoor recreation necessarily. Right. I mean, I think with outdoor, or maybe some of the bikes, like the rad bike photographs, where they have some really nice photos they might let us use of them on Main Street on their bikes. That would be a great image, I think, for something like this.
Something like this.
What we need, and you were talking about, getting help from her and stuff. I feel like even more so than somebody to give a whole idea on marketing, because I think we've got enough people here to kind of get that direction, the visual and and even the audio, things we do should have a common theme, and we don't have that yet.
Yeah. These
It's a shame
images,
to put something out for that long, but if we could just change the pictures on that and get some up-to-date pictures, then go with the same outdoor theme, because December, people are going to be reading it, planning for the spring and summer. I usually don't pick up a magazine and go, oh, hey, this weekend, honey, you want to, some might, but.
well, it would be nice to have, because it does come out in December, to have instead of the tubing photo, a winter photo. you know, of somebody snowshoeing and these photos are very alpine looking, and we're not you know, Trinidad isn't super alpine. I mean, there's alpine around here. You know, we're a little bit more arid. So I don't know.
How about the
photo,
the
the
new
bicycle
trail?
photo, by the way, is a crop image of the Radfest. That was a biker that was going through. It's called La Garita, which is, you know, that's part of their.
No, I
route.
like the
These are our actual photos.
I like the biker. I mean, I like the photos. They are clearly here. I mean,
Yeah,
I know
they
that.
are here.
Yeah.
They're
But I
ours.
think if we could swap the biker out with one of them of all the bikes on Main Street to show like this is a thing.
Well, like the start off that they had
Yeah.
of the rad, what, 2 years ago?
Last year.
Right.
Last
last
year.
year.
Will they let us use that image? Do you know?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
How about the skate park? I mean, I heard Williamson talk to City Council a couple meetings ago, and the knowledge that he had about the skate park as to what it is in all of the states and how renowned it is, people coming here just for that, you know, that's.
Are you
That's
thinking of more localized? I mean, a little bit more, because you said not the Alpine, which I agree with.
Well,
that.
a little bit of
Just
everything.
Bring it
Well,
back
I
in.
think we need to be careful of doing too much of everything. I mean, I think these images are good. You know, I mean, I like the
This is
two.
what we have to offer.
I like the water. You know, personally, I prefer to see kayaks, but that's my own personal bias.
Definitely put some kayaks in there. Send me some photos, Don.
Okay, I can send you
kayaks.
some photos. But because this is going out in December, I don't know what winter images we have. I mean, the thing that I love about it here is that I do hike year round because it is fairly dry, and in December you can still go out hiking and it's lovely, right?
Even the new trail at Fisher Peak.
But I don't know,
That area.
although I went hiking on that one time and it was an ice rink, it was a little too sketchy, I'll be honest.
That was pretty scary in winter.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Okay, so
I
I've
would-
got a Radfest on Main Street photo. I've got a kayaking photo, hiking
I mean, hiking I think is great. You know, let's,
with snow.
well, not necessarily. I mean,
Well, what's the hiking area of Citizens Rest?
Wormhole.
That's kind of more of our area, is the Piñons, the trail itself.
yeah, up on top of that, somebody hiking with the town below would be kind of a nice photo. I don't know if you
Okay.
I
I don't, but we can go out and get one.
I might have one. Too.
Okay.
I don't know if it's very good though.
Well, look at your photos.
I'm not the best photographer, but I know I took some up there.
Okay, so that's 3. What do you want the 4th one? So
I
you got
think the
water,
fly
you
fishing-
got biking, you got hiking.
I think fly fishing is really good because I don't think people know that there's so much fishing here, and fishing generates a lot of.
So you want a fly fisherman on the Purgatory? Which that is, but a different angle maybe?
Or that one is fine if we don't have another one.
Well, I have a really good one that's it's a distance shot, so it shows more of the river itself, and I think it's the Commercial Street Bridge, and there's a fly
There you
fisherman
go.
in the water.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay. So you want to keep the wording the same, the text the same, the background the same?
Picture the outdoors, maybe experience the magic.
I have pictures of my dog and my house up from overall.
No, that's not going to work on.
I'll put my dog up against your dog.
I mean, my kids are there, but they're all posing. They're not hiking. And it's a really cheesy photo. Especially because my husband's wearing the stupidest hat on. Oh, man. Let's see. Oh, look. They both have long tongues.
Sometimes cheesy is fun, so.
Yeah, but they're not actually physically hiking. They're just standing there
Oh, okay.
posing.
Yeah, we need to do some stuff there.
Yeah, but I like the idea of people in
Yeah,
pictures
I do
instead of
too.
just scenery. I've got some great landscape shots and stuff, but
You need
for
people
something like
in your
this, people
photos.
that need to be in it.
Definitely be people in your photos.
Yeah.
We can do landscape forever.
How about that bald eagle of yours that you have?
This one,
You know, there you go.
he's right outside my back porch.
Really? That's awesome. I saw one eagle above
been
my house
following
one
that.
day when we first moved here, but I haven't seen one since.
I've been following that family of birds for 20 years out there where he lives.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they stay,
And
they're here.
they've grown,
So-
because that one's, he's like 35, 40 years old.
Yeah.
Experience
of
the
the other
magic, is that what we're going with?
Well, I like experiencing the magic, and it's something that we could carry through.
How about
You know,
picture,
Trinidad.
picture yourself outdoors? Trinidad, Colorado.
You know, I know Camilla hates the word the West, but the one thing people always say when they come here, maybe also because I live in an old Victorian house, but how Western this town feels and how it does feel like you're walking back in time. I like the idea of a new West, like this progression, like we're evolving as the West. But, you know, maybe recreate, no, I don't know. I'm not very good at taglines.
Well, I've been playing with the experience, the magic a lot, because in trying to find something, magic is an old word, but it's you know, a long-standing word. Everybody knows what it means, and it is magic. You know, the outdoors, you know, your experience here is magical, and you could say majestic or something like that, but you know, you come back down and it's, you know, the magic.
Maybe experience the magic of the West, or
Well, my problem with the West is Lubbock is, you know, next step, you know, the first step to the West. Amarillo is, you know, welcome to the West. You know,
Yeah, sure.
everybody's using it's a problem. It is West.
One of the things that we're doing with a lot of these things is we're creating a new outdoors here. You know, like the Rad Fest, the tubing, we haven't really had a lot of that here.
should we?
The trails, we're creating new trails, so we're actually creating new experiences here in Trinidad.
New magical
Should,
experience.
should we also, this is a diversion, so you might just shoot me down, but should we put something on here that's a little bit of the quirkiness of Trinidad? I mean, like
What?
the quirkiness of Trinidad, you know, he was like, well, the history's gonna bring everybody, and I actually don't agree with that, but I do think things like the Cartopia thing is super cool, right? And nobody else has that. It's unique and it's authentic to this town. You know, that guy driving around on a Segway with his cowboy hat. The other day I saw him on the Main Street. He had a cup of coffee and a cigarette, and he's on his Segway going
Always coffee cup cigarette.
You mean the one that run around with the shirt off?
No, that's Joe Bear.
That's Joe Bear.
No,
this
this
is
is a Segway cowboy. Oh, he's cute. You know,
so you want to go more with an event theme rather than outdoors?
I don't know if it's an event thing, but something like, I think the Segway cowboy is interesting because he's you know, he's not in a car, right? And he's driving down. But I think something that shows that weirdness about
Oh, you're talking
town.
about on the
Yeah, there-
but
there
I
is
think-
something
I
about
think
the
we
weirdness.
should, with this one, we should stay more of the outdoors.
this particular ad, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's where we should be is the things,
What's this
especially
magazine
if this
again?
is going in the Colorado
The
magazine.
official state vacation guide for Colorado.
Yes, you know, so this is what we want. We want them
What?
to come down and experience
Yeah, although
And a lot of-
experience our
although-
new outdoors, you know.
The reason we decided on this is we looked at all the content, all the advertising content in the magazine, and it has
Focuses
that
on
whole
this.
feel
Okay.
of
Yeah,
Colorado
of course.
outdoors.
all right, then if we could get a photo up on the wormhole
There you
Okay.
go.
of somebody hiking,
Okay.
you know, especially if you can see town down
Yeah,
below.
if you could take
Mhm.
You know, a dusk photo or something with the lights. I don't know. I'm not
There
a
is some,
photographer,
there is
so
some
I'm
nice
very
ones.
good.
I have seen a couple of nice ones.
And then the Rad Festival for the other. And I'll send you some kayaks. The tubing's cute too. I'm okay with it.
The kayaking, I think change it up and
Do you have a good kayak picture? I like the kayak idea. But
well,
every time I go out there fishing,
you don't have any because
Oh, yeah, I do.
you know, just being out there on the lake.
Yeah.
You know, is
another thing, not to beat it to death, but when I was thinking of magic and stuff for future billboards and different things, nobody else is using it, and that helps. Colorado True, Colorado Yes,
I have this
Those
one
things are all
kayaking,
overused.
where he's right in front of Fisher's Peak. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes,
Oh, that's perfect.
perfect.
See?
That's
There you go.
perfect.
Yeah.
Can I
And he's,
email that to you?
As
Yes.
long
and
as he
he's, and
doesn't
he's,
charge
he's
us
even.
He's a friend of mine.
He's,
I asked
he's even
him.
given a good sign like, this is where I want to be.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
yeah.
My mom took this photo, that's why
That's
it's
nice.
good.
I just need a tagline.
Can camera picture how many pics are, send it as big as you can.
I just needed 300 DPI or higher.
Um,
And usually I have Adobe, so
I
I've
don't
got Photoshop.
know. I'll send it to you if you need it in a different format. I'll try it. My mother took it. It's probably, I can get it from a better. She's
You might have to make a trip to the lake and
take it again.
pose again.
Maybe, but okay. All right, I'll send that to you. Large, 936 KB.
Yep, that'll work.
Okay, might take a minute to send.
Okay.
All right, there you go.
Great, great.
It's a great photo.
It is a good photo.
And Will's cute, so you know that helps too.
Yeah, I just
have
like
you ever
what he's
wondered
doing.
where that goes before it turns around and comes right back into this room?
We can call it magical outdoors.
How about something to the,
We want them to experience, so that's an Augie, experience.
like we're
Trinidad
creating
experience.
this for you, some in the sense to visit us.
So experience
creating-
the magic,
Yeah.
simple.
You want an action. You
Right.
want a call to action.
How about experience the gateway to Colorado? Would that work, or is
You
that
know, a lot
too
of
easy?
cities,
It is the gateway, and
Definitely.
You know, your first stop on your Colorado
that's
adventure.
what's on the billboard out there, and I had that in the beginning, and it's too long.
Yeah, I agree.
And because it is, you do want them to experience Trinidad as they take their Colorado adventure, and that
how about creating, you have picture your outdoors, but creating your outdoors. Trinidad, Colorado.
This is where somebody who does marketing, they're so good at these things. You know, this is their picture your outdoors.
well, I have marked
Well, I went
this.
with
Picture-
picture your
picture
outdoors because
yourself.
they're film clips.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's cute. I see that for sure.
What was that?
Picture your outdoors. Experience your outdoors. I don't know. They all feel a little redundant for Colorado. That's the hard part. So I don't know what's unique to. I wish the deadline weren't so soon. That's been my problem all year.
Well, when you have your marketing person, he'll have all the deadlines
Yes.
right when he starts.
Yeah.
Or she.
Or, or they.
They. Probably a group. Probably not one.
Well, again, it's the five of us that, and how you come together is with a consensus. Even if we have a marketing person, they're going to present it, and we're going to all.
How about it, experience your outdoors? Trinidad, Colorado, experience your outdoors.
I think that's a little better than picture. For now, I think that's fine.
Okay.
You don't like magic, do you?
I don't mind magic. I don't know. I'm not
I-
loving
you know,
it.
when you look-
I'll be
Well,
honest.
I'll be honest with you. I
look
looked at several.
When you
different
look at
things.
these pictures and someone's saying, well, I want to go do that, it kind of goes along the lines, I want to experience that. I want to go do
That looks
that.
like magic to me.
Yeah.
You could do experience your first stop or your, I don't know.
I just think experience your outdoors. We have it. We have your outdoors.
Yeah. Of course, your outdoors are already stated in the
Mhm.
pictures. Is the only thing.
Experience your adventure.
There
Or
you
is that
go.
redundant?
Yeah, kind of.
How about picture your adventure?
Oh, there's that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I
I
like
still have
that.
experience
Yeah,
in magic, but
that's
that's
fun with the picture.
Picture your adventure. I do. I like that.
Maybe it's a little bit of all of them, but we could just get started
yeah.
and then kind of work from there.
I see this is going to be a harder sell than I thought on experience in magic.
Okay.
I don't mind magic, but I agree. I think it needs a synonym because I like the idea for sure.
Well, think about it.
It'll marinate on it.
It took a while for me to, you know, I tried everything I could.
Marketing matching grant project?
Okay, so at your last regular meeting, you approved applying for the Colorado Tourism Office's Marketing Matching Grant Project. Talitha, and, well, you actually approved 2 grants. One was the Reimagine grant for videography, and the other was the Marketing Matching grant that we had approved, that you had approved, to help with the printing and production of the hiking, walking guide from the Trinidad Outdoor Office of Outdoor Recreation. So in an email I sent to you, I explained that he has the funding that he needs to produce that piece.
Okay.
And so he doesn't need that. So it also was discovered when I contacted the CTO office that the videography does not fit the Reimagine marketing, the Reimagine grant. So we wouldn't be able to apply for that. However, when I spoke to Elizabeth O'Rear, what she explained to me is that the videography piece would fit the marketing matching grant. So what I wanted to ask you if it would be, and we'll have to vote this at the next meeting, is to take that videography piece into the marketing matching grant. We have till October 20, I think it's the 22nd, to fulfill this grant, to get this grant going. So what I'm asking you is can we move that videography piece to this grant? Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Yes.
That way we can start working on it, getting our letters of interest and our letters of support and everything along those lines. That way we're more in line with our deadline. And then I'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting and we can still vote on that. But just so we have kind of a consensus so we can move forward with that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
When, I can't remember exactly what the final conclusion was. When do we get our kiosks?
Okay, I can update you on that real quick. So I sat in Cheryl's office yesterday on 2 accounts. One was for the van, and the other was for the kiosk. So I have, so what I needed to do with Cheryl was I needed to produce the 3 proposals. One was from the board that you looked at, the other was from, I don't remember who they were, but anyway, so we have all our bids in order. Then I needed to contact SUFA and have them send us a official proposal with all the costs, laying out everything that we get, all that kind of stuff. And then how we're working this, since we're kind of overexpended for this year, is I'm not having them invoice us for that SUFA, for those kiosks, until January 1. So we can move forward with all the action that needs to take place as long as that cost doesn't go into January 1. At that time, what we'll do is we will take part of our reserves, move it into our budget to cover the SUFA sign and the van.
Okay.
That's why we love you, Marty.
Okay, yeah, so there's a lot of background footwork that needs to take place for both of those, but it's moving forward.
So moving into this marketing RFP for the marketing grant, I think the SUFA people got our business because they did a live presentation with us. And had those other 2, we might have done that same thing. And him coming to us saying, I'm going to create these fabulous videos, yet he prints out a Word document without any real marketing on it, doesn't give me a lot of confidence in that ability. So I hope the people who send the RFP for marketing, give us a proposal. Granted, we only had 2 last time, but you want to see something.
This is way bigger than a graphic designer. A marketing agency or advertising agency is way bigger. So what I put together here was based on a draft that, well, actually 2 drafts that we had for previous RFPs that were put out.
Yeah.
So we got all the legalities in there. We got the, the introduction, scope of services. Want you to look at that scope of services very carefully so that we know that we're asking everything of these individuals that we want them to do. Okay, so you have art direction and conceptual design, production, project management for printed marketing materials, online and social marketing and development, billboard advertising, broadcast media marketing, promotional items and efforts, public relations, partnerships and promotions, direct marketing and fulfillment, tourism development. I'm not exactly sure what that is.
Yeah, I think we should specify that.
Yeah, what is tourism development?
I personally think the one thing that we still are lacking as a team is much of a direction. I mean, we talk about outdoor recreation, we talk about this, but somebody to really look at the data, somebody to really look at the tourism data, who's coming here, how do they spend money, and where should we focus?
Right,
and
so they need to analyze what we are doing and what direction we need to go in.
Yes, and so if we can explain that it's really creating, I hate to use the word plan in Trinidad, but to really look at the data of who comes, who's spending money, and how do we grow that, increase it. So like what we should be doing today, tomorrow, and next, in 2 years from now or something.
Okay, so refine that or define that development piece a bit more?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that we have a better direction. Like when we're looking at this ad we're just looking at, are these really the things that really focus Trinidad, or should we be, mixing that up a little? Like what should our North Star be? Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is additional projects as requested by the board. So somebody comes before us and says, oh, I think we should do this. That's something we haven't thought of, so I included that. And then production of those materials, and we set the timeline for it. They give us okay, it's going to take me X amount of time to do this. We clearly get all that defined, and then going into that, all design materials and concepts are can be suitable for printing and use by another contractor. So if we have somebody else that wants to do something, we can provide that material for them. And retaining all the property rights is very important.
Yes.
The next one is total marketing budget. Okay, I have a placeholder in there that was based on a contract from 2010. That was a bit ago. What they had budgeted at that time in 2010 was $100,000. I don't know how to, and I'm talking with Audra and with Cheryl and with our city manager on what exactly we can put in that place. How much money can we set aside for a marketing and advertising agency?
As a city, separate from tourism, or combined?
Well, possibly combined. I'm not sure if the city would have something to pony up with, or if this all has to come out of a tourism budget, or if this comes out of our reserve fund, or where do we get the money? So that $100,000 is merely a placeholder until all the other individuals that I'm speaking with know what we've got. Okay. So I need finances involved. She's got to look at our books and see what we've got and where we can get the money from, and if the city can.
Well, if we even look at like our outside contract stuff, we could probably take money from there.
I think we have 58 right now in outside contract services.
Or add more money into outside contracts and a little bit from each one of those other ones.
But we need to do that now because our budget's going in.
Right.
So we need to do that sooner than later.
I think 100,000 is a good starting point. I mean, is it set in stone that this is like one project and it's done, or once you've contracted, then you've gotten this scope of work and then you want to go forward, you have to send out another RFP, or can you continue?
You would have to go out for another RFP. So once you find this individual or this organization or entity, whatever, you want to be able to hand them your marketing and advertising and say, you are in charge. That's it. You will design the ads for the official state vacation guide. You will design the key cards. You will produce the videography. You will, do all these things. This is what your idea is you want a professional or professionals that you can turn over your marketing and advertising to, and they do it for a whole year.
Yeah. So this is an annual.
It can be it's an annual. It can be a biannual. It can be a 5-year contract. It can be.
I think we should go with a one
renewable at the end of the contract.
Yeah, I think we should do a renewable at the end of the contract.
And that's how this is written.
Yeah.
Okay, and then maybe start with 2 years. Don't you think? Because I think 1 year might not be I mean,
Well,
to get everything and then to keep going, like,
Well-
it feels like everything kind of...
If you don't like this person, at the end of the year, you go, oh God, we're stuck for another year.
yeah, so I think a year is
1 year at a time is probably good.
And with a back out clause too, if there's something they're really doing.
There's
we don't
definitely
disagree.
a backup
Yeah.
clause in this.
Uh,
All the legal pieces are
And,
here.
and we're going to expect them to pick where we place those ads and things too.
At your
right?
direction.
To a degree, I mean, I think if they have ideas about where we should be advertising based on the data, like who's coming here, where should we be spending that money, and who are the secondary markets of who are coming here, and where should we be focusing that? You know, there's some people who come here but don't spend money, and there's other people who come here and spend money. So, you know, you kind of want to focus on the people who are coming here and spending money, and then, you know, and maybe help get those other people to spend some more money. But
That makes sense.
I think we need to have some of the data a little bit
Yeah,
more in front of us, and then
and we still approve where it goes.
Yeah.
We still have that.
yeah, and because of 2020 and the pandemic, you know, all of that's changed a little. It's all shifted a little. So I don't think
But
anybody
people are
really
trying to figure out how, where it's changed and
where.
what to do. And yeah,
Okay,
it's
so we'll
a whole
stay
new
then with
world.
the one with renewable at the end. So the
Right.
next piece is the timeline. So the issue, I'm on page 4, by the way. So the timeline, as I see it, to get this all, flowing, and it takes time, the RFP would go out September 22nd and would be published, giving them a deadline of November the 7th. That's about 6 weeks. And that's about what everything else that I've looked at gives everybody for a response, 6 weeks. Interviews on between the week of November the 7th through the 11th. So we could sit down and interview them during that week. Preliminary selection would be the following week of November 23rd, and then announcing the final selection on December the 7th, which is it's a board meeting date. And then a starting date of January 1. So that's how the contract would be written, so that January 1 to December 31st.
And where will you send the request for proposals to?
It will be published in different areas. I'm not sure where Audrey usually publishes these. It will also be sent to local entities that could fulfill these needs.
I think we should also send it to who's the guy who's in charge of destination development now for the Department of
Andrew Grossman.
Andrew, because he also knows lots of people in this world. And
He's
I think,
on my list.
Okay, yeah, because I think he would be really valuable.
And
Elizabeth used to do that work, and she was fantastic. I worked
She's
with her a
grants
lot.
now.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be restricted to Colorado people, right? If somebody in New Mexico or Arizona or someplace.
Yeah, I mean,
like that.
yeah.
I don't. I'm asking.
Yeah.
Should
think-
it or
I
Whoever
think
fits the.
It should be,
Yeah.
yeah, I
fits
think
our
we should
needs.
cover local, regional, state, and out of state. I think,
And
to
out
get
of
our,
state. Because
And
you know,
we
like,
have an opportunity for someone who fits our needs.
whoever does Georgia's, the state of Georgia's is incredible because you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, Georgia and the beach. Georgia and the beach.
I have a personal problem with having somebody that far away.
Well, I'm just saying that person. They're not in Georgia.
Somebody
They're
has
actually
to
in
have a
Arkansas.
feel for
but-
the town and know the town and know
I
what
think
we
so,
have. It has to be.
I think you've been talking to Chris, right?
Yes, so Chris is an individual, and I have his address.
I just
by the way.
barely met him, but I was pretty impressed with what
And
I
they do the Denver region, so.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of shop local, do things local, and everything else. But there is something about when you've got an expert, which is what we're looking for, that you're wanting, and I agree. You know, look at the data, look at the science, the what who is coming here and everything else. Maybe somebody that's not right here, that doesn't have a preconceived idea of who we are and what we are, somebody looking at it with a full open mind might be
I have
an advantage, I don't know.
I have a little bit of a mixed feeling. I do think having somebody look at this place that isn't so ingrained in what they think it is helps. But I also think somebody really needs to understand that it's not another generic Colorado town. And I think that the problem you have when you go to someplace like Georgia or where else, you know, they're like, oh, Colorado, you must have ski boots. And they don't even realize we don't have a ski resort here, right? So I do think somebody who, especially a firm that would be from New Mexico or Colorado that understands this region, but even some of Colorado, they're still really focused just on the Front Range and the I-70 corridor. Somebody who's spent time here but maybe isn't from here or is from here, whatever. You know, I don't.
Yeah.
It's
So
like professionalism.
We'll throw this out here on the
a lot of
two.
these firms have to come here if we get something from out. They have to
Right,
come
so
and
let me share
experience this
something
area.
with you that was on the 3 previous RFPs that were put out from 2010 till now. There was a line at the end of each of those RFPs that said preference will be given to Los Animas County and Southern Colorado applicants. Just throwing that out there. And the reason that was on there was because you're throwing $100,000 at some other region instead of taking your $100,000 and keeping it within the community to support a local, whatever. Just wanted to share that.
I have mixed feelings on that. You know, I mean, if there were somebody who was really good, who's local, and with the pandemic and new people moving and all of that, you know, who knows? But on the flip side, I think that, you know, I hope it doesn't deter applicants who are in other regions. You know, when I talked to Andrew, he did say some of the people who really do tourism plans and whatnot know this region really well. I guess there's one person who's done a lot with Canyon and Plains that he had in mind. I think I wrote it down somewhere. I'll send you the list of names he gave.
Vista Works, and it's Rich Smith.
No, there was a woman I thought that he was talking about who knew this region really well, also that he thought would be a good fit for us.
The bottom line, we're going to see what comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but if you actively send it to some people also, that helps.
Yes. Exactly. Okay, so other than that, I lined out the terms and conditions, which reserves the right to reject proposals, no commitment to award the contract, commitments, submitting responses, all that legal schmeagle stuff.
Are we going to request I think if they really want to make a presentation here.
I would really prefer that they do.
Well, that's in your timeline. So interviews is in your timeline.
Yeah.
So go back and look at that. Interviews in our evaluation process is a week long from November the 7th through the 11th.
I mean, I think the virtual presentation that one company did would be fine too, but I think having them
It doesn't have to be physical, it can
versus
be
just
online.
paper, you know.
I mean, that's the way the world works now.
I know Steve, real quick, in his not defense, but explanation, he's lazy. You know, and he feels like maybe they'll give me money, maybe they won't, so he doesn't go to a lot of effort, and it shows. And then he oversells.
Yeah, and I to be honest, the aesthetics of that magazine do nothing for me. I think it's really busy, and I just...
It is busy, but it's the first thing I picked up when I came to Trinidad. He's got some good ideas and everything else, but he's not the super marketer that, you know, I talked to him a lot, and, you know, I disagree with most of the things he says, but there's a few good things come out occasionally.
Okay, so this is reviewed, the RFP is being reviewed by Audra, and then it'll probably go to Les to make sure that we have all our I's dotted and T's crossed, and then it will go out as stated then on September 22nd. And we'll get this ball rolling.
Did we make any changes?
Just to that part of tourism defining what was it?
Oh, right, the broader,
the definition.
the more defined piece of tourism development.
Yeah. That's the change we
I
made.
thought
And I've got-
there was something I couldn't remember. What.
Yeah, I just say defined clearly. So that's what I'll do in that. Okay. Okay, I don't have anything else, unless you guys do.
That was good. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
I adjourn this meeting at 10:14. Next meeting, September the 28th, 2022, regular meeting.
Oh, GovCon.
Oh.
Everybody's all good to go? You all have your QR codes for check-in for the registration at GovCon? You all have your, you accepted? Everybody has their room reservations, we're all good to go?
Straighten that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could have gone now with my schedule, but I didn't know then what the deal was. So, y'all tell me what happens when you guys
Should've went.
try to stay out of trouble.
Are we
Leave
going?
Bell
Are we
money
going to
back.
drive together, or how do we go? What's the deal?
I have things to do with that. I mean, I have to, I'm going there and then I'm going to Denver after that.
And I have to be there Monday night because we leave at 8 o'clock in the morning for the manager's tour.
Okay. I'll talk to Cy.
You got my number if you need bail.